Welcome back for another episode of the Sports Playbook, where I will give you a rundown of what's been happening in the world of sport over the last 7 days. You're joined by our host, D-Moz. For listeners at home, we're now on YouTube, so you can see me in the studio, very high tech, on a bunch of sport autobiographies. If you're on Spotify listening, sorry, but that's just how it is. In today's show, we'll be talking about the key stories in athletics, football, NRL, netball, and marathons. We will dive into the world of motorsport in the Burning Rubber Breakdown and provide a fast fact for your pub chat and some sport I'm looking forward to this weekend. With that, let's get right into it. In athletics, Gout has lit up Brisbane with a lightning quick 200 metres. In the Queensland Athletics Championships, the 17-year-old has set an incredibly fast 200 metre time. In the under-20s heat, Gout has clocked a 20.05 second heat. Later in the final, he recorded a 19.98 with the assistance of a 3.6 metre per second wind. The wind reading though must be under 2 metres a second to be declared as a legal run. Even still, Gout has lit up Brisbane. In football, Chelsea win the Women's League Cup. They defeated Manchester City 2-1 in the final. It's the first of 4 games between the two teams over the next fortnight, including the Champions League quarter-final and the Women's Super League match. Sam Kerr is on the cusp of returning from her ACL injury in January of 2024. As a side note, the state of the pitch was average at best, with plenty of large sections of dirt and mud. I wonder if it was a men's match, if they would still be allowed to play ahead with the state of that pitch. Newcastle has won its first domestic trophy in 70 years. They defeated Liverpool 2-1 in the cup final at Wembley Stadium. The result caps off a terrible week for Liverpool, who crashed out of the Champions League. In the NRL, the Roosters have defeated Penrith for the first time in 5 years. The Tricolours have stunned the Panthers 38-32. After a thumping defeat from the Broncos, the Roosters had a point to prove. James Tedesco said post-match, "I feel like it's my proudest win. No one gave us a shot," which is quite a statement considering he's won multiple premierships and multiple State of Origin matches. For the Panthers, unfortunately, Dylan Edwards was unable to finish this match with a groin strain. He is expected to spend up to 2 to 3 weeks on the sideline managing this injury. For the Panthers, they will have to bounce back quickly as they will play the Storm in Melbourne on Thursday. In netball, the Adelaide Thunderbirds take out the pre-season tournament. The back-to-back champions beat the West Coast Fever in a 1-point thriller. The T-Birds came back from 8 goals down at halftime to steal the victory with 2 seconds to go, thanks to a play from Georgie Horgis. The T-Birds will aim to shake the curse and try to become the first team to win the pre-season and the Super Netball Double Crown. The New South Wales Swifts finished in 3rd place, defeating the Melbourne Mavericks 51-49. The Queensland Firebirds have some work to do, however, as they went throughout the weekend without a victory. In marathon news, Eliud Kipchoge to run in the Sydney Marathon. The Kenyan is widely regarded as the greatest marathon runner in history, and he has been confirmed as the marquee star for the event in August. This will be the first time the Sydney race has been held as a World Marathon major event. For Kipchoge, it will be the first time he's running in Oceania. He will kick off his 2025 campaign with the London Marathon in April. And with that, we will take a short break and get into the week that was in motorsport with the Burning Rubber Breakdown. It's time for the Burning Rubber Breakdown. Let's burn it up. In Formula 1, Lando Norris takes the win in the opening race of the season. Norris took the win over Verstappen by less than a second. Oscar Piastri, who was holding down second place, was caught out on lap 44 of 58 by a rainstorm and unfortunately came tumbling down the order. He regathered himself, fortunately, reversing the car out of the grass, much to the pleasure of all the Australian fans, and produced one of the overtakes of the day with going around the outside of Lewis Hamilton into the Turn 9, Turn 10 chicane. The race ended with only 14 finishes with multiple safety car periods. Before the end of the first lap, Isaac Hadjar from Racing Bulls, Jack Doohan in the Alpine, and Carlos Sainz in the Williams were all out of the Grand Prix. Hadjar, who was visibly upset walking back to the pits, was consoled by Anthony Hamilton, who turns out to be Lewis Hamilton's father. Helmut Marko, though, who is the Red Bull director of their driver program, had choice words to say about Hadjar, mentioning, "He did cry a little bit and that was a bit embarrassing." Fair to say, empathy is not a strength of this man. That is your burning rubber breakdown for the week. And with that, let's get right into your fast fact for a pub chat. It's time to pull yourself a chair, pour yourself a drink. It's time for your fast fact for a pub chat. With the MLB baseball opening day just around the corner, I thought this week's fast fact could be around baseball. Did you know that the first baseball caps were made out of straw? It was introduced by the New York Knickerbockers, and from there, the hats were transitioned to merino wool. But the first team to introduce their team logo on their caps were the Detroit in 1901. Baseball caps have come a long way from this point, with them now being regularly used throughout street culture. That is your fast fact for a pub chat. And now it's time for 3 sports I'm looking forward to this weekend. In the NRL, the Storm will play the Panthers in a rematch of the 2024 Grand Final. With the Panthers potentially being on the back foot, the Storm will be analysing their game against the Roosters to further expose any weaknesses they have pointed out in this game. For the Panthers, they will have to do it without Dylan Edwards at the back, which will no doubt be a huge blow to this Panthers team. In the NBL, the Illawarra Hawks play Melbourne United. Going into Game 4 of this final series, for the Hawks, it's a must-win to keep this championship alive. For Melbourne United, they are 1 win away from clinching the championship. And finally, in Formula 1, that's right, they're back again. It's the Chinese Grand Prix. For McLaren, they still look favourites heading into this weekend. They built over a 14-second gap to Red Bull throughout the Grand Prix. But can Mercedes extend their lead in the Constructors' Championship? And how will Red Bull bounce back from a disappointing weekend to start their 2025 Formula 1 Championship? The F1 Academy will also kick off their championship at the Chinese Grand Prix. And with that, we have come to the end of today's episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will catch you on the next play. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Sports Playbook. If you enjoyed this week's episode, please subscribe to the Sports Playbook wherever you get your podcast and share it with a friend who also might find it enjoyable. Thank you.